Shalom, this is Daniel Stern from the Netivyah Bible Instruction Ministry coming at you from our offices in Jerusalem. And today I would like to talk with you about the situation in the north of Israel on the border with Lebanon and with the Hezbollah. This might in some sense go into the realm of conspiracy, but bear with me because some of it will be clear, some of it less so, and obviously I'm sharing my opinion. Yesterday there was 2 days ago, there was an attack on the Hezbollah attacked a very, very important strategic military site, a military base on the mountain of Merom, which is Israel's primary air defense base, which its job is to be the eyes of the country for incoming aerial attacks. It's not necessarily the response, the missiles, but it is the place that sees what's happening. And with that in mind, this attack on a very important, significant strategic target is surprising to most Israelis, because we're under the impression that we're taking the war to the Hezbollah, that we're killing Hezbollah militants. So far we've killed over 170, and that we're doing a good job, and so on and so forth. And here's where we're going to go into a little bit of conspiracy. I will admit that my faith in the military spokesperson and in the mainstream media and in the establishment is low. And I'll tell you why. Because for years people have been complaining about hearing tunnels, and the army said there was nothing and they did nothing, and then many years later suddenly it's true, they found a lot of tunnels. The same is true in the Gaza periphery, the same is true in the north, and now the same thing is happening in Judea and Samaria. And for years we've been told by the army what a smashing job they're doing, how they're taking out targets. And the fact of the matter is, and this is a fact, is that the targets that are being struck over the last decade and a half in the Gaza Strip are usually empty tin shelters with nothing of significance in it. No one is neutralized, no ammunitions are destroyed, and our enemies are warned well in advance, but our military establishment touts it as successful airstrikes. And this is not new. This has been happening for 15 years. It's not a secret. This is not yet in the realm of conspiracy. But what did happen over the last few months and few years is that the Hamas lulled Israel into a false sense of security and was protesting and violent on the borders and damaging the borders, and no one did anything because it was just protests and a lot of civilians and blah, blah, blah. And then October 7th came, and we all know what happened there. They shot the cameras, they bombed the guns, and they were able to overrun our mechanisms for stopping their entry, the border mechanisms. And a similar thing is happening in the north. The Hezbollah has been, over the last 3 months, targeting the eyes and ears of the country, whether it's specific bases in the north, whether it's specific equipment, and certainly 2 days ago the attack on the aerial defense base is a very clear indication of that. And of course what we're told by the establishment is that nothing happened, it's no big deal, our systems are in place, we have backup systems, and frankly, it's a little concerning that we are being pulled back into the same conception we had on October 6th of everything's fine, don't worry. And the fact of the matter is, we saw what happened on October 7th. So while we are killing some infantrymen of the Hezbollah and causing no real effect on the Hezbollah or Lebanon, they are meticulously and strategically targeting the strategic sites that they feel will allow them to have an advantage when, not if, but when conflict breaks out in a much larger scale. And the establishment and the mainstream media and the army basically is telling us it's fine, don't worry. But the truth of the matter is many people are worried and it's not fine. And this is just a prelude to what could happen in the north. Now bear in mind that the missiles that were used a few days ago to target this base were short range, 6 to 9 kilometer range missiles with a payload of about 7 kilograms of explosives. And the Hezbollah has missiles that have a considerably longer range and can carry a payload of 600 kilograms of explosives. So these 7 kilograms of explosive missiles that were fired probably, whether from Lebanon or from Israel, the film crew that Hezbollah used to film it and distribute the footage were most likely in Israel. But in any case, these 7 kilogram missiles were able to damage Israel's radars. So what happens when 600 kilograms land? And unfortunately, the Hezbollah, unlike the Hamas, have precision-guided missiles as well. And in the meantime, we're playing kindergarten. We're doing nothing significant. 170 dead infantrymen and foot soldiers is not something that will in any way deter the Hezbollah from continuing what it's doing. So I am worried, and you should be too. When October 7th happened, the United States immediately sent aircraft carriers to Israel. And some people say that that was to support Israel, and that's probably true. But other people also say that that was to restrain Israel. In order to make Israel not have to go to war against Hezbollah immediately, which may or may not be good. Again, I'm not even going into conspiracies, I'm just throwing out opinions, and each of you can comment your thoughts on the matter. Some say Israel should have already attacked Hezbollah. Others say we should wait until less of our forces are occupied in the Gaza Strip, until we have secured more arms and armaments for a northern offensive, possibly until after the winter, until spring or late spring, which will be easier for our soldiers who are less familiar with that mountain terrain. Of course, there's always the worry of the Iranian involvement, the Houthi involvement, but bear with me, I'm going back to conspiracy land. So, the army is saying, this is today, Brigadier General Daniel Hagari, the army spokesperson, said, we'll need to deal with the Hezbollah threat so the citizens of the north can return to a secure location and not be forced to return, not be pressured to return. Sounds wonderful. Sounds great. I approve. But they said the same thing about the Gaza periphery and all the settlements there. And they say that, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, 1 month ago, they said that, they'll only return when it's safe. And as of yesterday, there were still missiles coming out of the Gaza Strip. Now, these missiles that are coming out of the Gaza Strip clearly indicate that it's not yet safe. And of course, the fact that we still have thousands of soldiers in the Gaza Strip fighting indicates that it's not yet safe. And yet, I said yesterday, this is what the army spokesperson said about the north. Well, yesterday, the Ministry of Education made a decision that on February 5th, all the schools in the Gaza periphery will be starting up again. All the students will need to attend in person, not Zoom, meaning that the government, or at least the Ministry of Education, is expecting that everyone will be back in their homes in the Gaza periphery in less than a month. Now, will that be in a safe situation? Will the people be comfortable? Will anything have changed regarding our conception of border security? Regarding the Hamas? I mean, when this war broke out, when Bibi Netanyahu said the war will break out, he said that the primary mission is to defeat the Hamas, to destroy them, that there will no longer be a Hamas. Over time, it slightly changed to we will demilitarize the Hamas. And throughout this 3 months, everything is changing in regards to the mission, where the priorities are, hostages, Hamas, whatnot, control of the Gaza Strip. But the fact is, the Gaza Strip is still a danger to Israel. And until there is no more Hamas, and I could say things that are even more extreme, but I won't, there is a danger to Israel and certainly to the Gaza periphery settlements. And yet, the Ministry of Education has decided that on February 5th, the students who live there have to start studying. So, likewise, Daniel Hagari, Brigadier General and spokesperson of the IDF, same day yesterday, said that the citizens of the North will not have to go back until it's safe and secure. But we see that this is not true. The citizens in the South are being sent back and it's not yet safe and secure. So, as I started with in this video, I have very little faith in the IDF spokesperson, in mainstream media, in politicians, and unfortunately, we've all been disappointed by politicians over the years. I heard an amusing phrase, which is, if you idolizing a politician is the same as believing that a stripper loves you. Now, that might not be a little appropriate for our audience, but don't believe a politician. The majority of them are lying all the time. And I'm sure that that's not in anyone's conspiracy world, but we all believe that. Because any politician who's honest doesn't succeed in politics. Bottom line, I'm very worried about the Hezbollah. I'm very worried that the army is rightfully not necessarily sharing information, but that it is underplaying the damage. But more than that, that it is pacifying, not in the sense of dealing with, but in the sense of calming the people to what has actually happened, and they are not dealing with the threat in the way that should be. Again, I'm not the leader, and please pray for guidance for the leaders, and it could be that they're intentionally delaying it so that they can concentrate more forces in the north, and so on and so forth. But share your opinions on what Israel should do with the Hezbollah. Do you believe in the army spokesperson? What are your thoughts on mainstream media? Share your opinions. Pray for Israel. Pray for Netivyah. And if you feel called to, then support us. Click on the links below. Join us. God bless you. From Jerusalem, Daniel Stern, Netivyah, Israel.